Hey guys, welcome to TST Garage. I'm Bart, and in this video, I have the pleasure of presenting to you the TST Industries Fender Eliminator for the 2021 and up Yamaha MT-09 and also the SP, as you see behind me. These parts will fit the SP and the standard version universally, so no worries there. I will walk you through some of the attributes of our product and then show you how to install it step by step. Now, every Fender Eliminator ditches the entire fender and therefore the lighting system that comes on the fender. So we'll have to do something about replacing the license plate light and the signals with our systems. In this module, we will only be portraying how to install a Fender Eliminator of your choice from TST Industries on your bike. We will subsequently make other videos that will show you how to install the signaling system on this bike. We will offer several different signaling systems and an integrated taillight. So look for those videos on our website or on our YouTube channel. All right, here in front of me, you see several different components. These are the sub-modules that build our Fender Eliminator product. Here you see the common component that is called the closeout. This, along with the stainless steel hardware that it comes with, closes out the hole left behind by the removal of the fender. It also enables pass-through of your key to open up your seat. Also has pass-through notches in it for lighting cables to go through, should you choose to use those. This is a CNC machined aluminum component, black anodized, beautiful textured and smooth finish to complement the lines and look of the bike very, very well. This is the component that comes in all of these different sets. It also comes by itself in a closeout product should you use maybe a different swing arm mounted Fender Eliminator or some homemade version. This will at least help you close out the hole left behind by the fender. Now you see that we do not have a hinge operated cover here or a grommet. We designed this slot to be very, very narrow, give you enough room to pass your key through and turn it. It's also off axis from the actual cylinder, so the cylinder will not take on any water. You will not have any deterioration of the action of the key cylinder, so no worries there. There's no need for additional complexity to these parts. This safeguards your cylinder and also is off axis. Should you get any water in here, it'll just drip down and out of your subtray. No worries. All right, moving on. We do have three different versions of Fender Eliminator. We have the low mount that consists of this bracket, the closeout and its hardware. License plate gets mounted here, hole gets closed out, good to go. Now the rear mount version is available in two different variants. Here you see our flagship. It's a CNC machined aluminum version that has all the bells and whistles. It's adjustable, it's black anodized, it's beautiful. It couples with this mounting boss that mounts to your Undertale and subsequently enables you to mount the hardware that will carry your license plate to the boss itself. Now the other version is just a stainless steel bracket that has been powder coated black for a nice stealthy look. It does the same job, except it doesn't enable adjustability, and it's a much simpler concept. This will save you a little bit of money over the flagship model, still do a very good job, but the choice is ultimately yours. In this particular video, we will be focusing on demonstrating the steps necessary for the installation of the low mount Fender Eliminator. All right, let's get started. In the first step, we will be removing the license plate off the bike and retaining the hardware that is currently holding your license plate onto the bike. Should you need replacement hardware, we do sell these reflective license plate screws and also a nice accent kit that you could choose that has anodized aluminum washers and looks a little bit more minimal than this. It goes a lot nicer with our Fender Eliminator kits. Next, we will remove the seat. Following step, we will be removing this bracket that is screwed on with these 4mm Allen screws. All these have to come out. Please take note of the washers Also take note how this goes back in. The actual latch mechanism is on the left side of the bike. This is how we will have to return it onto the bike. Next, we will grab a 10mm socket and loosen these nuts. All right, now we have the fender pretty loose. We'll have to find the fender lighting wiring. This is one of them. This is for the license plate light. I like to use a tiny flathead screwdriver to lift up on the locking feature, and that allows me to clear this connector from its mating side. Now, if you're going to be running a license plate light and you're using one of ours, red is positive, black is negative. If you're going to be reusing this portion of the connector, you will wire your red into the green and red wire and black into black. If you're going to be connecting into the bike side, then red will go into blue red, and then black will go into black. Now we need to snip off this zip tie here that connects all these wiring looms together. This stays on the bike. This gets unclipped. This is still the license plate light wire. Now we have these two wire sets in sheaths going to the black and white plugs. These are your connectors for the signals. You'll need to slip those off. The locking mechanism works as follows. There's an interference window here that goes onto a clip. You have to push this down to clear this out of the way and pull it out. Both of these are the same, so no worries there. All right, here we go. Let's go ahead and take the nuts off all the way. When I get to this last one, I like to hold my fender from the bottom so it's suspended and it doesn't just fall off. I dropped the nut in there. I will have to find it after the disassembly. We have one more part here that is holding this fender on, and that's this little nub. What I'm going to use on this little fastener is the backside handle of a screwdriver. Just push it out, clears out. And now just wiggle this fender off. Make sure you don't snag any of these wires. And just heard my last fourth nut drop down, so I found it. We're good to go. Now we have our fender off. Let's see what we need to do about cable management here. I like to get this guy back in here under this clip, and now we are good to go to the next step. In this following step, we're going to grab our 4mm Allen and remove these fasteners here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and a matching 5 on the opposite side of the bike. We're going to note the location of where these fasteners go, what fasteners go with which location. These are shoulder, large head. This aft one here going into the tail light will have no shoulder, and we'll have a smaller head. The one below here will match the one we just took out of here. And down here again, we have one with a shoulder and a large head. With all of these fasteners gone, now this entire assembly of side shrouds and the undertail will be easily removed off the bike. You need to spread these parts, and this component needs to slide towards the rear to clear some locking elements here. pretty simple. It just came apart on me and builds back together like this, and we can slam it back on there. Now that we have this off, there's an interfering grommet here in the undertail portion that we will need to pull out. I'm just gonna grab some needle nose and pull on it, and that just comes out. This grommet being here prevents our undertail closeout from sitting flush. So now that it's gone, after we return these pieces onto the bike, we'll be able to mount our undertail closeout. All right, now we've made access here possible. We have 2 1/4 turn fasteners here protruding from the top tray to the under tray. We will have to clear them out. Let's hop up top here and I'll show you how to do it. All right, up here, we're gonna need a large head Phillips screwdriver. This is a P2 size screwdriver. I'm gonna keep it handy here. Let's identify the 2 1/4 turn fasteners we need to get out. One's under the starter relay, so we'll need to dislodge the relay and get it out of the way here. You don't actually need to remove this connector, but I'm going to, so that I can better show you guys what I'm doing. Here's one, the other one's on the opposite side. Let's go one at a time. If this doesn't clear out on you and the whole head turns, then you're gonna have to hold it from underneath, hold the base, and allow the top to spin, and then push it with your finger from underneath like that, and it comes out. These will not be reused. All right, on this opposite side here, we do have a cable management clip here that clips into the sub tray. If you need to loosen that up to get better access, you can totally do that, but you can also stretch these wires out of the way and gain access here. And of course, this one is being difficult. I'm gonna have to hold the base from the bottom. And I got it to reset. I'm gonna push up from the bottom. It'll pop out. And this way, we make 2 fastener holes that will now enable us to get a screw through along with a nut on top of it using some washers. This is where our low mount license plate bracket will be mounted to. We are at the point where we can consider finally hanging our license plate mount. As you can see, I'm holding the actual license plate bracket. This is a stainless steel bracket, black powder coated, stealthy, minimalistic design, very lightweight. It mounts to those 2 holes that we just removed fasteners from. And you just need to make sure that you have them in the appropriate, you have the whole set of hardware in the appropriate orientation. As you can see, we have the bend going this way. If you try to mount it this way, you'll be hard pressed to actually mount it. So this is the proper orientation here. The stack up of hardware, fastening hardware, will be screw, washer, through the bracket, through the undertail, up to the top, another washer, and the locking nut. The other hardware that is included with this set is for the purpose of carrying your license plate. So we have these finishing washers that fit on the countersunk head of the screw that goes on the actual license plate. The license plate actually does have to be mounted beforehand, and we've given you the hardware for this connection here because it needs to be very low profile. As you can see, the whole stack up is the depth of the nut, and that's because we don't have a lot of room here, and we want to make sure that this license plate actually fits within the subframe here and sits at this angle. During the design phase of this product, we noticed that any which way we mounted this license plate, when it was not deep within here, in the middle of the subframe here, at full bottom out of the suspension travel, we would inevitably hit the license plate, and then our customers would be very unhappy about that. So this product takes into account some compromises that we had to make in order to make this license plate hang in a position where you won't hit it. Now I know in Europe they have street sign size license plates. You probably won't be able to fit that in here, so make sure you know that before you make your purchase. This is a typical size to Northern America, some South American countries, and Canada. All right, so this is the standard hardware that comes with this set. We also do offer these nice accent hardware kits. They are available in several different anodized colors. If you do choose to use this, make sure that you replace the screw that comes with this set with the screw that comes with the license plate bracket setup here. Again, this is for the purpose of not making interference here behind this whole setup. For this installation, I will use whatever we got with the kit. So let's do this again. Finishing washer, countersunk screw, and we have a flange nut that has a nylon locking element on it from the inside. I'll need to grab a 3mm Allen and an 8mm box wrench. If you are using a license plate light, this is a good time to mount it. In fact, you know what? Let's go ahead and do that. We are going to clamp the license plate light between the license plate and the bracket. This bracket actually has a little notch for where the wire goes, so it's very easy to center our license plate light on this setup. You can potentially take advantage of that double side tape that we have on the license plate light. I typically just clamp them in place and do it that way. That's just my preference. Let's go ahead and tighten this down. As I tighten down, I make sure that my license plate is actually centered on this setup. Also want to make sure that when this is hung, it'll be hung evenly, so it's level. For that purpose, I have the same distance from the bracket to the top of the license plate on each side, and then also in the middle, my indicator is my license plate light sitting level. So for wire routing, we're gonna go up to the top here. I like this little window. Get that up to the top. And now we have to align these slots with the holes here. We've provided you with some slots so you can go up and down a little bit depending on what you need. You could possibly finish leveling this by scooching the bracket up and down in the slot. But for now, let's go ahead and get the washer and mounting screw through this side. Another washer from the top, and then a 6mm nut. All right, once this is self-captive here, grab a 4mm Allen for the outside screws here, and a 10mm socket for the inside. And let's go ahead and start tightening this stuff down. I'm gonna go close to bottom out, and then I'm gonna make a final adjustment while looking at the rear end of this whole bike, making sure that I'm level and center, and then we're gonna tighten it down all the way. All right, that's fully tightened, so we can bring this whole assembly back into play. And as I've demonstrated before, this comes apart fairly easy. If it does come apart on you, just make sure you tab it all together. Make sure all the tabs engage like so. Bring it up and down, click, and it's good to go. Let's get that back into position here. Well, since this one keeps coming off on me, I'm gonna let it rest on the side. Here we have these clips that are fairly sensitive here to bring into position with the taillight. Taillight has little windows here and here, either side of the taillight, where these clips have to slide into. So I'm gonna go ahead and slide that in, make sure it aligns all nicely. Before I do anything else, I'm gonna make sure that this hole aligns with the threaded hole inside, and in fact it does. So now I'm gonna tab this side panel in, and that's good to go. Same on the other side. Should be an audible click. All right. And I'm gonna start putting some of these fasteners back in. These are fairly easy to cross thread. Make sure that you apply light torque, trying to get these in. If you feel any resistance, back up and try again. Same with this one, and then also the top two here. All four that go into the taillight are fairly sensitive, so be careful there. All right, now that I'm actually threading in the last fastener, we're gonna go through a tightening sequence. I'm going to tighten the ones that go through rubber grommets first. That means here, 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 and then on the opposite side, matching locations. All right, that's the last one here. After this, we are going to tighten up the rear ones here. What I like to do is press this panel into the center. That'll eliminate the gap that you see forming here. When this bike first came into the shop from the factory, it still had this gap. If you press this in as you tighten this fastener here, that will clamp it together, sandwich it, and it prevents that from forming. Do the same on this side. And now, lastly, up top, I'll tighten these guys down. And that will be that. Now, let's go ahead and fill in this hole with our beautiful CNC machined aluminum black anodized closeout. Really finishes off the area really nicely. Textured finish here, smooth finish here, carries through the body lines of the Undertale. Really nice stuff. We'll grab all of our hardware. For this hardware, we will need 8mm box and 3mm Allen. Countersunk screw from the outside. Goes through subframe. Up top, there is a steel stamped component that acts as a giant washer. All right, I take back that box wrench comment. We are actually going to use a socket that'll work a lot better. Up top here, I'm not afforded a lot of space, so a socket's gonna work a lot better. All right, that's pretty much it here. This is done, this is done. Let's go wire up the license plate light. Before we plug these wires in, let's make sure that all the components that we dislodged in previous steps are back together. Again, you guys didn't need to take this apart. Just move this out of the way. I was just doing that for demonstration purposes. Here, we're all good. All right, if you have signals going on with your setup, they will plug in here. Obviously, that will be a separate video for you guys. In this video, we're just gonna go a little bit beyond what we typically do in these segments and actually wire in the license plate light. As I said in the disassembly, this is your connector to connect into. I've shortened the wire to our license plate light, and we ship these lights with these nice tap connectors. They are removable, reusable, they're really nice, they're toolless, and they work really well. But what I like to do on these particular bikes is snip off a portion of the fender lighting connection that goes into here. And that way we make a little plug and play, like a dual plug and play system. It'll be plug and play here, and then also removable here. So what I told you guys already is black to black and green, red to red. I like to loop these guys over like so, and then get my connectors on here coaxial to the wire. I'll show you what that means exactly. Makes for nicer packaging here. So axis of connector is such like this, axis of wire like this, and now our new connector is also on that same axis. This way you end up plugging in this wire into there and everything's on axis. Now we have this wire overhang. What I'm going to do is use electrical tape to protect that and insulate it from the bottom. After I do both, I'm going to give it one more winding. Once again, on this black side here, we're going to remove the larger diameter cap from our connector, overlap this wire to be sort of equidistant to this wire. There's a split that we put the wire through. And then the top here has a piercing element. As you screw this down onto this cap, piercing element pierces the insulation of this wire and makes that connection for us. Let's grab more electrical tape here. So now we have this little loom that we made, and now we can connect our wires to here. Before we do that, I'm going to throw some electrical tape on this here to make it nice and neat. All right, we still have black indicated going to here, that's ground. Green, red indicated going to here, that's positive. I'm gonna take off the small diameter cap. Be careful not to lose it, they're very easy to misplace. Let's get our wire seated through here, making sure that some extends past the outer portion here, the threaded portion. You want about 3 millimeters, 1/8 of an inch. Give it a little tug, make sure that it actually sat down in there. Same on the ground side. I've successfully demonstrated that they're difficult to hang on to. We have wire protruding, get it seated in here in the connector. Cinch it down, give it a little tug. Should be good to go. Let's give it a test right now. All right, we have license plate light function. This is all good to go. I like to make sure that it's neat and out of the way. I think this is pretty good for me here. As an alternative, we could get it clipped under here actually. That'll work too. All right. It's also nice and neat and factory-like, good to go. Let's get our seat latch bracket in place. This slot goes on the left side of the bike. Get the screws back in and use a 4mm Allen to tighten them down. All right, that's pretty much it, you guys. As you can see, it takes just a couple minutes. It's very simple to install, very nice components to complement the body lines and the aesthetic of the tail of this bike. Really transforms the entire rear from boring and shovely to high-tech and sexy. If you like what you see here, check out tstindustries.com. We have these parts on there for your purchase. We also have some other parts you may be interested in for this bike, maybe for some other bikes you may have in your stable. Thank you for watching. Hit that subscribe button if you want to be notified of more content like this coming out. Ride safe. See you in the next one. Later.